What's going on, guys? My name is Richard Moglen, and welcome back to our weekly watch list video sponsored by MarketSmith. As always, we're going to run through all the names I'm kind of watching for next week. Some of these are really set up, some of these need a little bit more time, but are showing super strong strength, and I want to keep tabs on them. So we've kind of got a mixed bag here, and overall I'm focusing, on the areas of the market that have been strong. So looking at China, looking at biotech, healthcare, and if I've kind of missed any kind of amazing stocks that you think I should keep an eye on, let me know down below in the comment section. And while you're at it, please go ahead and leave a like down below if you do enjoy my videos and my channel. So starting things off, we've got DG, and I know this isn't going to be a huge percentage mover, but a lot of people like to focus on high dollar movers as well. And this is pretty high priced and really nicely set up. You can manage risk really tightly right at these swing lows, and basically watching for a break of this flag here. And you can even buy it through this high, managing risk at that swing low. A nice short-term burst up here on high volume, and consolidating nicely on very low volume here. Relative strength has been super strong. RS rating is a 95, and Discount Realty has been an overall group that's been super strong. We've seen a bunch of stocks acting well because it is an inflationary environment. Moving on, we've got DQ. So this is the first China name on our list. And right now it's not quite set up. We did have an inside day on this past Friday, but the overall structure isn't super great. So I'd love to see actually kind of a basing period go sideways for a few weeks, set up a clear pivot, and then you could buy it as it kind of reconfirms the upside. But overall, this has been super strong off these lows. Relative strength rating is 99. Look at that RS lane right here, the RS line right here. You can see it's trending nicely above the 21 EMA and 50 SMA, and it's back above that 200-day moving average. So we could be just beginning a new stage 2 uptrend. Keep in mind, looking at the weekly chart, it's still kind of off the bottom here, and I'd love to see a push up towards 80, maybe a handle form, and then a kind of breakout and resumption of that trend. But this is definitely a stock that's been super strong. It's got both kind of the solar theme as well as the China theme working for it. And you've got very strong growth numbers, as you can see, looking at the quarterly EPS, as well as the revenue growth, and great estimates for this year. A little bit of a decrease in 2023, but estimate revisions are up. So that is DQ. And moving on, we've got JKS also in that same group, and also some China theme here. And you can see there's a little bit more setup on the daily and weekly. You've got a little bit of a pivot right under 70. We had an inside day, nice tight inside day on Friday on declining volume. And overall, we're once again above a rising 21, 50, and 200 SMA. Relative strength has been super strong. RS rating is a 98. And you can see really nice revenue growth, great estimates for this year and the next. And looking at the fund ownership, it's pretty much flat here and a little bit low, and no high quality funds in here just yet. But another name that has been acting super strong, a little bit choppy in character, so keep that in mind. But I think it's worth mentioning, as this overall group and the China stocks in general have been acting super strong. LOY is the first in the kind of medical diversified, pharma company sector industry group that's been showing a lot of strength. And you can see it's set up pretty much for next week, right through this pivot. Nice move up off these lows, off the 50 SMA, now consolidating right near all-time highs. And you've got great growth numbers for this more mature company, and a decent amount of fund ownership as well. Relative strength has been super strong over the past few months, and the overall RS rating is a 97. UNH, within that same type of sector, it had a nice breakout through 507.25, retest on Friday, nice upside reversal, outside day, and now it's set up right under this level around 518. And basically, you want to see a nice breakout on volume. That was a little bit lacking on this past Friday, and you can manage risk right at the upside reversal low right here, right at this prior pivot. Overall, super strong uptrend above a rising 200-day moving average, back above all its moving averages now. And you can see the relative strength line is clearly showing that this is outperforming the market. Nice increases in fund ownership, and decent growth numbers from, once again, this more mature company. Next up, we've got Celsius, CELH, which is potentially forming out kind of a bottoming process here. And looking at the weekly, you can see this is a longer term base, nice upside reversal weeks here, and now is setting up right near that longer term moving average. If you draw anchor view up from these highs, it also lines up right with these peaks. So that's another reason that this area is potentially a nice pivot. And going back to a daily, you can see a nice push off these kind of intermediate lows here. And now it's setting up right under that 200-day moving average, as well as these pivots right here. You could also draw a flag at this level. So you can manage risk right at that 21 EMA, 200-day moving average if it pushes through that on volume. But you really want to see volume explode into this name. And overall, food and beverages has been acting pretty strong. So it is within a kind of leading area of the market as of this moment, and super strong growth numbers, huge numbers in terms of earnings, sales, and those annual estimates. And in terms of fund ownership, nice growth here and one high quality fund invested into this company. DTLB, another stock kind of forming out a bottoming process off its lows. And if you draw an anchor view out right from these highs, we're right at that key area right now. Going back to the daily chart, nice kind of volume signatures, moving up on higher volume, pulling back and consolidating on slightly lower volume. And I'd love to see a nice breakout through that 54.50 level. And the 57.47 level is also a very key area. Now kind of start the move up the right-hand side of its institutional due diligence phase. This longer term primary base that it's forming, but you definitely want to see an explosion of volume on that breakout. And I love how when it pulled back here on lighter volume, we did hold that high volume close from that earnings date. And overall, really nice revenue growth over the past 4 quarters. Moving on, we've got ALKS, which is one of the biotechs I'm watching. You've got a pivot right at this area here. I want to see it push through that on volume. Decent growth numbers. It's actually got some earnings, which is a little bit rare for a biotech, but overall, it's really that relative strength that catches my eye and that clear pivot. And it also lines up with this prior resistance level as well. You've got 2 higher quality funds invested in this stock and a decent subtle increase in fund ownership over the past 8 quarters. Moving on, we've got Harmony Biosciences, also got this clear pivot right here. Great growth numbers in terms of earnings, sales, margins. Estimates are super strong for 2023, and you've got a nice increase in fund ownership. NBIX also with that pretty much same pivot right near 100 as well. Sales growth is pretty steady, great estimates for this year and the next, and a nice increase in fund ownership over the past 8 quarters and 3 high quality funds invested into this stock. Moving on, we've got SGEN, and this once again has that kind of clear pivot right here that formed last week. Not really any growth numbers here. You've got sales last quarter, but really this is just a play on the overall chart and sector and industry group. But you do have decent fund ownership and high quality fund ownership as well. Keep in mind this bar right here was on the day where it was kind of in the news because it was potentially going to be acquired. So keep that in mind, and overall just setting up a nice pivot and showing a lot of strength and volume right here. Next up, we've got UTHR, and it's forming a nice flag here. I'm looking to potentially add to my existing position if it breaks through that on volume. Great growth in earnings and sales, especially in the most recent quarter. Decent estimates for 2022 and 2023, not explosive, but decent. And fund ownership is subtly increasing over the past few quarters. Moving on, we've got Vertex, another kind of biotech, medical related stock here, forming out a nice kind of base. You had a nice push off the lows, then it pulled back, found support right at this prior kind of level. And now I'd love to see kind of an inside day and then an inside day and up. And that's what I'd be looking for to kind of have an early entry before it breaks out to new all-time highs. Decent growth numbers here, not so much in terms of annual estimates, but you've got decent fund ownership and 2 high-quality funds invested as well. Moving on, we've got SWAV, another kind of medical-related stock. Nice pivot right near that 200 level and really strong earnings, sales, and margins. Great estimates for 2023. Nice increase in fund ownership and 3 high-quality funds in there as well. EVH as well is setting up right under this 31.48 pivot. You can manage risk right at this prior level as well as the 30 level. Nice upside reversal on high volume on this day. This would have been Wednesday, and super strong earnings, sales, and margins the most recent quarter. Really great estimates for this year and fall through in 2023. Nice increase in fund ownership and 1 high quality fund in there as well. So I'm watching for a push through this level on large volume. You can see it's had a little bit of trouble with that 31 kind of 50 level in the past. So you definitely want to see that stick and see it kind of fall through to the upside and ideally break out through 33.14 as well. PRVA, another kind of off the bottom play, forming out a constructive bottoming process. You've got a pivot right near that 30 level, and you want to see an explosion in volume, suggesting that institutions are really interested in this. But once again, nice relative strength off these lows. RS rating is a 90, and overall, this is in a strong group. And looking at the weekly, you can see this is once again within its kind of first primary base institutional due diligence phase, and you want to see basically a breakout on volume and the start of a move up the right-hand side of this base. So next up, we've got VIVO, another biotech here, medical products group, which is a little bit weaker than the rest of them, but still acting pretty well. We've got a nice flag here inside day on Friday as well. Volume, I would like to see that be a little bit lower on this flag, and it's still a little bit volatile, but maybe we get kind of a big shakeout and then strong close, and then basically that sets up the flag breakout. Decent fundamentals last quarter. Estimates aren't super great, and pretty much flat fund ownership in this overall stock. Next up, we've got LI, and this has been super strong off these lows and has only pulled back about 15% from these highs. I might want to see, a few weeks of sideways action, then setting up a pivot, a flag breakout, some type of setup here. But overall, this strength can't be ignored. You've got super strong volume as well. And I'd love to see it kind of calm down both in terms of price action, so a decline in volatility, as well as a decline in volume as it kind of consolidates this move. But definitely an area to watch. This is an EV company based in China, and BYD is another name to watch kind of in that same space. But I definitely want to see Tesla start to show something to indicate that this overall group and theme is kind of going to lead again. So definitely a stock to watch and have on your radar. And going over to the weekly, I really like how it's consolidating right above these levels right here. Moving on, we've got PDD, another China company pushing off the lows. Relative strength is super strong over the past few weeks, and it had a nice move on Friday. You could have bought it right through that high, as well as it kind of broke through that 200-day moving average after a retest. And now I'm basically watching this 66.53 pivot. I want to see it push through that on volume. You can see over the past few days, there hasn't been too much volume after this kind of failed breakout. So I definitely want to see volume come in, suggesting that institutions really are accumulating this stock. So overall, that's pretty much it for this list. Let me know your thoughts down below. What are your kind of top 3 setups from this list? And if there's anything that I forgot, let me know down below as well. And if you did enjoy and found my analysis helpful, go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Thanks.